End. Snow Cone Mini One Shot. Aya Sports. It's in the Izwocha. Ochako tore off a few parts of her hero outfit. She didn't really care that she was ruining her clothes, she had more concerns at the moment. The main one would be trying to stop the bleeding that was pouring from Izuku's chest. You're going to be alright, Deku. She was more trying to convince herself that was true than trying to convince him. But it was not looking good. Not at all 10 minutes ago. Alright, everyone is evacuated. How's it going, Deku? Ochako spoke outside the building into her earpiece after getting the last citizens out of the building. Get people as far away as possible. The villain ran away, but the bomb is going to set off in less than a minute. There's no way to disable it in time and it's stuck. I'm on the way out. Izuku spoke back to her in his own earpiece. Hurry, Deku. She spoke back as she made signals for everyone to get away from the building and yelled to evacuate. That's when it went off. The sound of the bomb could be heard from all around. Ochako turned back to watch as the building was coming down on top of her. She wasn't able to get away in time because she had been too busy yelling for people to run. Ochako harvested for the impact. But before it hit her, she saw green. And then she blacked out. When she finally came to, she saw both sides but darkness. She felt around her belt for a flare. Holding it in her hand, she felt around, feeling for something hard. When she found it, she struck the flare, lighting it up. She looked around, seeing nothing but rubble all around and above her. She tried standing up, but her body felt weak. She also hit her head, so she was only able to be on her knees. Blood poured down on her head, but she didn't feel any pain. Most of her body felt numb, probably from shock. But the hit her. What that green light was that she saw just moments before blacking out. Deku. She called for him pretty weakly. She pressed a button on her helmet which sent a distress signal calling for help. Oh, Ochako, she heard him call out to her. She followed the sound of his voice. She had to move a bit of rubble, which was taking a huge risk because it could cause more rubble to fall down. As she bits of rubble, she found the boy lied out on the ground, still calling for her. His chest was completely bloody. It was as if he was stabbed 30 times and was somehow still alive. Deku. She slowly made her way to him. She took as much first aid she had on her belt out. Ochako, he kept repeating her name with his eyes shut. She reached to his hand and gently squeezed it. I'm here, Deku. I'm here. She began to cry, tears splashing onto his face. Most of the blood was able to be wiped off, revealing the wound on his chest. Other areas like his head and legs were hurt, but nowhere near as bad as his chest. Debris must have hit him pretty hard. Present time. Ochako used the parts of her outfit to make a makeshift bandage. She wrapped it as best as she could, but he kept bleeding and it went through. Putting her hands on top of his chest, she began to press down, trying to desperately stop the bleeding. Izuku reacted in pain from the pressure on his wound. I'm sorry, but I have to stop the bleeding. She squeezed his hand again before applying more pressure. That was the only time he complained after hearing her. It took a few minutes, but luckily she was finally able to stop the bleeding. She tore off a bit more of her uniform to make another bandage and wrapped it on his wound. Seeing the blood stop made her relax. Just slightly. All she could do now was wait for help. And with all this debris, who knows how long it will be before it arrives. Ochako, she heard him say her name again. Ochako looked down to find his eyes were open. Deku, you're awake. She was really glad his eyes were finally open. Ochako, you alright? He slowly reached up to her forehead and wiped some blood off. You're bleeding, his words, although weak, carried with concern for her. Please don't worry about me, Deku. Just rest. Help is on the way. She kept squeezing his hand to reassure him. I have to worry. I don't like seeing you hurt. He put on a very weak but genuine smile. His eyes began to slowly close. No, Deku. Keep talking. She had to make sure he didn't go out again. It could be the last time if he does. Quote dot dot dot. I don't know what to say. His eyes were now halfway closed. Quote dot dot dot. Dee, do you remember the first day we met? Ochako asked, desperate to get a conversation going. Yeah, I do. One of the best days of my life. You saved me from falling on my face. At least now I can say I repaid you for that. His smile never faded. More tears poured from Ochako's face onto his. D dummy. You've done more than enough for me. You've always saved me more times than I can count. I can never truly pay you back for everything. I love you, Deku, and she meant every word. Good. I love. His eyes fully shut without another word. His smile never leaving his face. Deku. Deku, please, no 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 no. She screamed his name as he fell silent. She grabbed his hand and felt his pulse weaken. His body felt cold from the blood loss, and his heart rate was getting lower by the second. He was dying. Deku. She screamed Bloody Mary at his unresponsive body. Her tears splashing all on his face and the ground. Just then she saw light above her head. Much of the rubble was moved. There. We've got to. A voice called out. A pro-hero moved more of the debris away, allowing them to get to Izuku and Ochako. Please. He needs help now. Ochako begged for them to help Izuku. They were taken out of the area and Izuku was loaded onto a stretcher. His pulse and heart rate is extremely low. He's lost a lot of blood. He's going to need a blood transfusion immediately if he's going to survive. One of the paramedics spoke as they loaded him into an ambulance. Please, save him. Do anything you can. Ochako kept begging for them to save him. Of course. But ma'am, you're hurt as well. There's more help over there. It would be best if you... No, I'm coming with. Ochako interrupted. Ma'am, you're really hurt. I'm coming and that's final. Quote dot. Ochako stood her ground and climbed in the back, sitting next to Izuku, taking his hand in hers. D. Ground and climbed in the back, sitting next to Izuku, taking his hand in hers. The paramedic just climbed inside, shut the doors, and they were on the way.